Welcome back, guys. Zell here. A week or so ago, we talked about Spyderco's Delica. It's one of my favorite knives. So, this week, we're going to talk about Spyderco's Endura. It's a little bit bigger version of the Delica, and if throughout this review you want to look back on the numbers or any information from the Delica, there'll be a little exclamation point up there in the corner that you can click on, and I'll put a link to the Delica's video there. But for now, why don't you come on in here a little closer and we'll take a look at the Endura. When we take a closer look at Spyderco's Endura, we see that we've got basically a bigger Delica. If you watch my video on the Delica, almost all the same things apply here. We have FRN handles with bidirectional texture, which actually does work pretty well. If we roll a knife around here, it's a lock back. Have a little bit of jimping across the FRN here on the back. And rolling on around, we can see our torque screw construction and our Spyderco pocket clip. Very similar pocket clip to what's on the Delica. In fact, probably the same pocket clip. And just like on the Delica, my only complaint here is, as you can see, the paint or whatever coating they're using on the pocket clip is definitely not very durable. This knife is only a month and a half old, and it's already showing signs of wear. But overall, I really think with the color choices that Spyderco gives you of black, blue, brown, gray, green, orange, and purple, it's up to you, it's one of the better looking EDC blades out there. However, it is large. Let's go over the numbers and we can kind of see that. Closed, we have 5 inches. Thickness, 0.44. So it's pretty thin. Height closed is about 1.6. So unlike some of Spyderco's other knives, it keeps a rather small profile in your pocket. In fact, it carries very well. However, when we open the knife up, we get to 8 3/4 of an inch long. The blade length total is 3.8 inches with a cutting edge of 3.45 and a blade height of 1.13 and a blade thickness of 0.12. So, like I said, this is a large knife. However, it only weighs in at 3.3 ounces. So, for as big as it is, it's a very, very light knife. Now, for those of you who may not know, Spyderco provides us this thumb hole. This one's about 1/2 inch in diameter. And that thumb hole is there for a very important reason. To open the knife. Once the knife's open, you can manipulate this knife one-handed by putting your index finger up here near the front of the knife, pushing down on the lock, giving it a little flick, and then you can roll it on over and close it safely. And I want to show you guys something. Hang on just a second. For those guys out there that insist on an assisted opening knife, and don't get me wrong, I like assisted opening knives. With Spyderco's method here of the thumb hole and ZT's method of assisted opening with a little stud here on the back, let's just see. Not much difference, guys. And once you get each one of them to this position, you've still got to roll a knife in your hand to get it into position to do anything with it. I really don't know if the assisted does all that much for you. As far as build quality from Spyderco, we have good solid lockup. That blade's not going anywhere with that lock back. However, just like with the Delica, this area right here bothers me. You can feel as you run your finger across there that doesn't fit quite the way it should. And of course, by it not fitting quite the way it should, it picks up dirt. Now, I haven't cleaned this thing, and it's been carried off and on for a month, month and a half, something like that. And you can see the little black lines of grime already gathering up. And as we move the knife on into talking about ergonomics and weight, first thing is, this thing only weighs 3.3 ounces. So the weight for the size knife you're getting is outstanding. However, this thing gives me a hot spot on my middle finger. I'd really like to carry this knife, but because of that, I just don't want to. Just doesn't feel good in my hand. It may be different for you. I'd love to see this thing in Big John or Hickok 45's hands. I bet it'd fit perfect. The blade itself's made out of VG10 steel, which is an upper mid-tier steel. Does a good job of holding a working edge for quite some time, and it can be sharpened down to a pretty fine edge. It's still got the factory edge on it right now. A couple of things we need to note about the blade. We have the leaf-shaped blade, which works just great. It's basically a drop point with enough raise in the back to get your spider hole in there, which is what lets you open it quickly and easily. The other thing that we need to talk about a little bit is the spine of this thing. It starts here and it gets narrower and narrower and narrower down to a fairly fine point. This is definitely not a blade you want to be prying on things with. And it does provide some jimping on the back there. I just wish it didn't heat up my middle finger like it does. I started this section by saying that the Endura was like a larger version of the Delica, and here you go. It really is just a larger version of the Delica. I'm not going to go over the numbers right now. We'll do that in another video whenever we put them head to head. But here's a visual representation. With the Endura, everything's just a little bit bigger, and you pick up a little bit of weight. If you have big hands, it may be worth it. Alright guys, so my opinion on the Endura. It's a nice knife. If you have large hands, it's probably one that you want to take a look at. The steel's good with VG10, and the build quality is way above average. And as we saw, once you learn how to use the spider hole, the assisted knife has very little on the spider hole. As for me, I don't carry the Endura. A little hot spot in my hands, it just bugs me, so I don't carry it, but it may be the perfect knife for you. If you have hands the size of Hickok 45 or Big John, perfect. Well, we don't know if it's perfect. We'd have to put it in their hands to find out for sure, but I have a feeling it would be. If you would click one of those buttons down there, like, share, subscribe, send this out to your friends. Let them know about the Endura. I'd really appreciate it. And for now, you guys have a great day, and don't forget to come back next time. We've got lots more in store.